We're still going streaking. That's 3. That's 3. It's me. That's 3. It's me. It's Ross. Arturis Fan Club, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, merch site, arturisfanclub.com/shop. I come to you on the 1-year anniversary of Arturis Karnisovas being hired as the Bulls' executive vice president of basketball operations. Got both logos on here. Wonderful designers. This is my good friend Alba, who also moderates the Chicago Bulls subreddit. This is Sentry, who moderates my Discord server. Two very talented individuals who helped me a lot with my merch drop. Go check that out. Subscribe if you haven't. Follow them if you haven't. All that information in the description. We are back with a third victory, and they're gonna try to discredit this one too, guys. I'm just gonna say it up front. The media, the pundits, the analysts, they're gonna say some bullshit about how the Raptors were without some of their best players. They're going to talk about how the Bulls have been beating up on teams that are not at full strength. I don't care. We don't care. We really don't. And if they want to keep talking, if they want to keep saying stuff, that's great. We love it. Keep talking. Keep saying stuff. Okay? Because honestly, we feel pretty damn good right now. The thing about a big team win like tonight against a Raptors team that is contending for the playoffs too, it's not like you plug and play Fred VanVleet and, oh man, it was, 6-point, 5-point, 4-point victory. If he was in the game, totally different game. Nah, from the second quarter on, the Bulls were in the driver's seat. This was a blowout. We can call a spade a spade. This was a blowout. I don't know what my dog is doing right now. Pan, sit down. We're talking here like men. Thank you. The referees really tried to get the Raptors back in this game. I think that's the kind of thing you won't see if you're looking at a box score or if you're reading an ESPN recap of the game. That's the kind of thing you need to watch. You need to see live. Because there was a stretch there in like the third quarter where the Raptors were just getting a call on every single offensive possession. Now, mind you, the Bulls, they weren't as clean as they should have been on defense necessarily. But if this game were called fairly, we go back down on the other side of the court. Nikola Vucevic. I'm going to get it right. I know you guys keep criticizing me about it. I'm going to make sure I get it right. Even Patrick Williams. These guys were getting clobbered. Thinking of a good word. These guys were getting clobbered in the paint. Clobbered's a good word. You want to call a game fairly, call it fairly, okay? Because if you want to get the Raptors back in the basketball game, okay, well, the final score ends up being a little closer than, the actual game was. Because that's what ended up happening here. The final score ended up being, 122 to 113. Okay, so what, a 9-point victory? No, this game was double digits from the second quarter on. This was not a close game by any metric. And the Raptors are the kind of team that the Bulls need to be beating right now because we want to make the playoffs. We want to push them to the outside of the Eastern Conference. And they dominated. The Bulls dominated this game. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't really care what the final score says. I don't care what the box score says. I don't care if you look at some defensive possessions from Nikola Vucevic on whoever it was that he was defending. I think it ended up being OG Anunoby, who had an okay game, or Pascal Siakam, who had an okay game. Whatever. I don't care. They didn't play well enough to win. They didn't play well enough to contend in this game. The referees got them back in this game. That's my whole point here, is that the Raptors were not in this game. The referees made it a game for them. The Bulls overcame it at the end. Knock on wood, thankfully, because this has been a... That was me. This has been a trend the past few games where it's like the Bulls are getting momentum, they're playing really well, and the refs are just like, fuck that. You guys, if you're on offense, yeah, anyone can do whatever they want to. If you're on defense, though, if you breathe near an opponent, we're going to call that. That hasn't been fun to watch, and that's disappointing. There is something going on this season with the way the officials are treating the Bulls. It's very strange. I don't think that there's a grand conspiracy. I'm not that kind of thinker. I don't think that, the NBA is stacking the cards against us, which, mind you, I think the Eastern Conference is scared of the Bulls. I don't think the officials are stacking calls against us on purpose. It's just, it sucks, because when you're winning like that, when you have a double-digit lead, and every time the Raptors go down the court, they get a foul, that's how they get back in the game. And that's how this game ended up looking a little bit closer at the end than it actually was. And Zach LaVine hit a dagger. I think the Raptors went on like a 13-0 run towards the end, and Zach LaVine hit a dagger and was just like, nah, it's over. Don't get excited. Bulls are winning this one. I just get frustrated when it's a game that we dominate, and I don't want to say we don't close it out, because we did close it out. We won the game. It's just like, it feels shitty when it's not totally basketball related. You know what I mean? It's not like the Bulls and the Raptors played a full basketball game and the Bulls dominated basketball. It was the Bulls played a good basketball game. The Raptors battled hard, and the referees got involved and made it weird. It's just not good for the sport. It's been a problem. I mentioned that it's a problem for the Bulls lately. It's actually a problem for the NBA at large lately, that the referees are so influential over the outcome of a game, which is just not what basketball should be. And that's not how we should experience the game. If I were a casual basketball fan, someone who wasn't a diehard like me, or probably you who's watching this, and I tuned into a game like this, I'd just be like, what is this? Why would I enjoy this? Why would I enjoy the game stopping every 30 seconds so someone can shoot 2 free throws because they got breathed on? It's just dumb. And maybe the casual fan that I'm describing doesn't know the nuances of why fouls are called or how fouls are called. I can break it down a little bit for you. I mean, that it's star calls. It's superstar calls. Not saying that the Raptors have like superstars, but there's a certain way to play the game and you can get foul calls. Like, dude, Chris Boucher. That's how you pronounce it, right? It's not Boucher. It's Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher should not be getting a borderline 40-20 double-double over Nikola Vucevic. Just no. That is just not an accurate representation of talent or how the game actually unfolded. It's just inaccurate. But that's what the box score says. So there is a certain way to game the referees in order to get those kind of foul calls. There's also, I'm sure, biases that exist within each refereeing crew, each referee individually, whether it's conscious or unconscious. It's there. It happens. And I just think the Bulls have been on the short end of that stick a lot lately. And I don't want to be the guy who's complaining after a victory. I'm ecstatic. The Bulls played a great game. I'm really happy about the rotations. We'll get into it in a second. No, it sucks. It sucks as a basketball fan, as an NBA fan, to see something that is inferior to what you've come to expect from the sport. I expect better. I'll just leave it at that, I guess. I expect better. We can get into the Bulls, though. We can get into the specifics. I can't believe Chris Boucher's stat line. That's fucking ridiculous. But Vooch, another big game, over 20. I think he had 22, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Zach, he was on triple-double alert for a minute there. He ended up with 22 points, 5 rebounds, 13 assists, which I think is his season high so far. 3 steals and a block. But there was a point in like the fourth quarter where I'm like, everyone just get out of the way, let Zach LaVine get some boards and give him a triple-double. Because the game is, pretty much over, except what I just discussed. Low-key, the guy who really showed out tonight and deserves a shout-out is Lauri Markkanen. He is finding his stride off the bench right now. That is the role that he probably has needed to fill for years. This is the Lauri Markkanen we have needed for a long time. And he's kind of here, low key. He had 18 points, 4 rebounds, and not a flashy stat line, but when you watch him play, the big thing that you notice is a lot of down low action, a lot of cutting. He had a big dunk at one point. He hit a 3. He might have hit 2 threes. But for the most part, he was working in the paint. And that's what you want to see. From a guy with his speed, his height, his strength, that's what he can do. He can get in the paint. He is crafty around the rim. He is quick for someone of his size. He can do a lot of very important things, very unique things that, guys his size generally can't do. So, hitting those threes, that's one thing, which is great. Obviously want to see Lauri Markkanen hit those threes, but you hit those threes, which opens up the opportunity to, get a pass, fake a shot, drive by a guy, or be at the 3-point line, get someone to, get a defender up close on you and then cut around him and get to the basket and leave him in the dust. Those are the things we saw from Lauri Markkanen tonight. I was pleasantly surprised. I think if he continues in this kind of role, you got to start asking, do we want to keep him? Is he upping his trade value? I don't know. We'll have to see. He'll have to do it more often, be a little more consistent. That's kind of been the conversation throughout his whole career. Can he do it consistently? But I don't know. Kobe White, he turned the ball over a bunch, but also had some big shots. Shout out to Kobe White. This was a team victory. So if I say like Kobe White had some turnovers, it's really not that big of a deal. They ended up winning, but Kobe White does need to fix some of those turnover issues. Daniel Theis, double-double, continues to be just a monster down low. Another guy, I think I might have mentioned it already, who is just getting clobbered in the paint, and they're just not calling it. It's just really frustrating. Celtics fans kind of warned us about this, that he just gets fouled like crazy because of how active and how strong he is down low. I guess that kind of comes with the territory when you're that big and that strong and that talented. But it does suck when you're watching the other team get those same calls. I've kind of talked that to death, though. I won't keep going into it. Patrick Williams just continues to improve. Even if his stat lines aren't getting better every game, you see the game coming to him naturally, and it just feels like every game he gets more and more comfortable. So just playing within the offense, making the right pass, but also being there when the pass is coming to him, driving down the lane, hitting shots. You know, he had a nice pull-up three. It's just little things like that. He's 19 years old, man. It's crazy. And he's so strong for his age too. His body he's got an NBA body at a young age. It's just really impressive. Thad Young, he's Thad Young. He continues to do Thad Young things, making great passes. Him and Zach had a nice little two-man play where Zach passed it to him, Thad passed it back. Zach had a smooth layup, got around his defender with ease. And then there was another possession where Thad was wide open on the three-point line, got the pass, and just kind of Euro-stepped his way into an easy layup. Just fancy footwork. He makes it look easy. Yeah. Like I said, an all-around team victory. The only complaint I have, as I keep bringing it up, is just the refs and Coby White's turnovers. But for the most part, this was a very, very good team victory. And building off of the success of the last two team victories, it's very encouraging to see what Billy Donovan is doing with this rotation. He's very sure of who is in and who is out. Denzel Valentine is out, it looks like. Al-Farouq Amino looks like he's out. Ryan Arcidiacono, as long as their guards are healthy when Coby White is playing, looks like he's out. Troy Brown Jr. is getting great defensive minutes. He is in. Obviously, Daniel Theis is in, and there was a point in this game where Vooch actually played the entire first quarter, which I thought was interesting. And there was a point where you had Vooch and Theis in at the same time, and then Lauri Markkanen was at the three, which I found interesting, but it worked. And I pointed this out on Twitter, but the Theis to Vooch connection is something we haven't seen yet, and something that Theis is kind of underrated for. He's able to shoot, he's able to pass, and Vooch kind of has a similar, like Vooch's skill set is kind of the more elite version of what Theis can do. But then Theis also has the defense to complement it. So they actually worked really well together. I liked it. They're both very athletic players who could kind of score from wherever they want. So I was impressed with that lineup. I was nervous about Lauri at the three, but once again, he was active, he was driving, he was in the paint, he was cutting off the ball. Like, he wasn't just standing and parking himself at the three-point line, you know, like we used to complain about. So that lineup actually worked pretty well. All in all, I've been really happy with Billy Donovan's rotations lately. I think he's figured out what the strengths and the weaknesses are of his top guys. You know, that was something that he kind of had to figure out after the trades at the deadline. You know, who are the guys that are going to be in at the end of the game? Who are the guys that are going to be in the second quarter, in the third quarter? Because it's different. You'll notice that his rotations in the first half are actually pretty different from his rotations in the second half. You know, it seems like in the first half he'll go 10 deep, and in the second half he'll cut it down to 9, even 8 sometimes. So really interesting stuff. I've talked for a while now at this point. I'm just realizing we're almost at 20 minutes, so I'll probably cut it off here, but really great team victory. Really proud of the guys. As always, I'm excited when the Bulls win. Just makes me happy. I'm sure it makes you happy. So thank you guys for hanging out. You know how to find me, at Arturos Fan Club on all platforms. Subscribe, like, comment. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But just know this is going away soon. The Arturos Fan Club shop is only up for a limited time until Friday night when AK Day ends. So make sure to hit it up before Friday night, 12 a.m. Central Time. That is when the merch drop ends. And there will be future merch drops. I'll keep you guys posted. But that is when this one ends. And I got some other stuff planned for AK Day. So stay tuned. I'll talk to you guys soon. Go Bulls.